because I was just wearing this for the
I don't want to do this.
Make sure you show the jersey. There you go.
That's right.
That's
right.
Y'all see what time it is. Matt is joining us.
Rooms.
First off, thank y'all if y'all just watched our interview with Rodney Barnes talking about winning time. Definitely appreciate him joining us and continue talking about winning time as we go on. But also, as you know, the NBA playoffs are going on, and we brought on our Boston special analyst, Matt, to talk about his Celtics as they just went on to the second round. So it's about to be a fun episode. Let's jump into it, man. I don't want it.
Garrett in pain.
Just dead. That's right.
Before we get started,
it wouldn't happen.
Oh my God!
You called Alec a hater.
Oh my God! I did. Before we even get into that,
it was possible.
I hear you. Before we even get to that, Matt, this is your first time here since our intro. You see yourself in the intro.
Yes,
we had to include you in there. I love to appreciate you for coming on. Love all the stuff you've been contributing to the show. Appreciate you being the Boston analyst that you are for us and all of that. In that regard, we appreciate you. But today, I do not want to talk to you at all. You and Alec with that green on make me sick right now.
Oh my God!
This was unintentional.
Green with envy, some might say. I don't know.
Boston has advanced to the second round of the playoffs, sweeping the Nets. I'm hurt a little bit because I was rooting for KD and those boys that were there, but they came up short to the as short as can be with their plungers in the first round. So definitely was a major disappointment. And on the flip side, a lot of folks are focusing a whole lot on the Nets and all the stuff that's going on with them and how they fell apart, and aren't actually giving enough praise to the Celtics. So I've gotten my woes and sadness out the way. I do actually want to give Matt, you and your Celtics, including your defensive player of the year, Marcus Smart. I almost call Marcus Smart because of your name there, Marcus Smart. Marcus Smart. All praise for that amazing first round you guys put together. Go ahead, you have the floor. If you like.
The floor is yours.
All right. First things first. Thank you for the intro. It's nice to be with amongst former NFL head coaches and all that. It's big news. But I guess before we're talking the series, let me just get the Nets praise out of the way. You guys
praise?
The one. Hey, there's one person to praise, and you got to know who I'm talking about. It's Boston's own Bruce Brown. He had a hell of a series.
He was good.
Genuinely a hell of a series. He's going to be a free agent this summer. I think he just earned himself a lot of money.
Yeah.
Maybe. Hey, I mean, he plays defense.
He does.
We'll take anybody at this point, so probably.
Yeah.
Role players, please.
Yeah, but I'm hoping he earns himself a big paycheck. He's a really nice dude. But yeah, other than Bruce, that was basically the one consistent high point for them the entire series. Other than Bruce, no one was consistent. Like you said, G, a lot of the national coverage has been more angled at the Nets collapsed and all that. And while obviously that's true, and I think their big miss in this series, I think, is just more about roster construction. And they always had one player on the floor that Celtics could attack no matter what.
Chemistry is probably a big part of it too.
I wonder who's to blame for that. Another guy you'll probably hear me praising, Kyrie Irving, because unlike everyone else in Boston, I still do kind of like the guy. I think a lot of his beefs and flipping off the crowd, that was great. I loved every second.
I love that.
Yeah. I can't hate the guy. He's so much fun to watch. But got stomped this series. That's just what happens. But like you're saying, G, I think a lot of it is the Celtics defense. I think Tatum obviously proved himself as a defender this series. The talk most of KD's career kind of revolved around who could stop him? And Jayson Tatum is one of the few people that can. He actually has the athleticism, the length to stay with him. Yeah.
Quick note on that. People always talk about with KD, how he has one of the best jumpers in the world, and how he's one of the best scorers of all time. Yada yada yada. I've never seen him get blocked so much in a series. He got blocked. It seemed like a whole lot. just guys playing man up with him or whatever, and getting to his jumper and making him uncomfortable the whole way through. So that defense was stifling. It was, people were calling it an all-time performance. Though it's a first-round series, whatever, people were calling it an all-time performance that we just witnessed on the defensive end from you guys. And yeah, I just, after my hate is put aside, I tip my hat to you guys, because definitely was an impressive performance. So yeah, what do you think sparked that flip of the switch? Because again, as I mentioned you before, there was that could have been to start the year. I said they're going to team that had high
could have been records,
right? Could have been records, whatever. Shout out to Drewski, whatever. I thought they were going to fall off. They actually flipped the switch and turned into a all-time team with how they're turning things around. What sparked that switch in the middle of the season for you guys?
I mean, I think it was just getting the right personnel in there. Like Derek White, if you just look at box scores, he's not a guy that really does much. But when you watch this team, especially in this last series, like giving another guard who's that much of a defender, like he obviously he isn't on Marcus Smart's level, but he's like right there in terms of guard defenders. You know, he's a bit undersized to maybe defend like a 2 or 3, but he's scrappy, fights through screens, does everything you want in a guard defender. And I mean, adding a guy like that next to Marcus Smart, and then having your next 2 wings be Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum, and then your center is either Al Horford or Robert Williams, like that. I mean, even when you just look at the personnel, like how do you score on that? You know, like everyone can switch. Rob is still young enough where he's got the agility to keep up with guards in some instances. Like I think he may have had one of the blocks on KD, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm sure.
Yeah, but then like, you know, Tatum has proven himself as a defender. Even like help side, he's always been a good defender. But then just man up on KD, he completely proved himself this series. Like it wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if this is his jumping off point to be a consistent name in all defensive teams going forward. Like I could easily see him being that type of guy.
My apologies. That was for who? That was for who?
Tatum. Yeah, I think Jaylen Brown has that potential too, but I think you know, especially it's an award given by a lot of writers. I think you sort of need that like prove it thing to get on those kind of lists, you know, either through scrapping it out for like your first 4 or 5 years, like a guy like Marcus Smart, or having this like statement like Jayson Tatum just had.
Yeah,
gotcha.
I definitely think Derek White was like one of those undersung trade moves, like at the deadline for sure. Because like you said, like his numbers might not jump off the page like the box score, but definitely a necessary boost. And that was helpful for you guys for sure.
Definitely. Like if Derek White is your 5th best player on the floor, you're in a good spot.
I think there was a point like early January or so where like Marcus Smart had called out Tatum and Brown like in the media. As far as
wasn't it January 6th, January 7th?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
never forget
something like that. Because someone, I think Laker Film Room or something, tweeted about the
yeah, we were getting on his ass.
Yeah, it's like the worst January 6th event or whatever. But
yep.
I think that was a big moment as far as to G, your question about like the turning point, as far as him calling out like the 2 best players on the team, as far not distributing the ball, like not sharing the ball. And then also too, there was like ironically another tweet, I think it was from Jaylen Brown, where it was like the energy is about
energy is shifting. Yeah.
Like since that point though, like they've had the best record in the NBA, like 30-6 or something like that. Like it's like a ridiculous record since then. So the energy shifted, Jaylen. I think it was like around that time where things, and maybe that's credit to Ime Udoka. You sent us a report about his kind of coaching philosophies and things he's done. So
I was going to ask about him. He coached circles around Steve Nash. What do you think about his performance as well in these playoffs so far?
I mean, all right. I was saying in the group chat earlier, you know, I was like, oh, he's already kind of proven himself to be better than Brad in my eyes in a lot of ways. Just like
Wonder Boy.
Like in terms of I know that's kind of a hot take for a lot of Celtics fans, so I guess I'll explain myself. Like just in terms of player management, and I think what was needed to sort of unlock this level of this team, like the Jaylen Brown, Jayson Tatum Celtics. Like I think Brad was kind of falling on deaf ears, and like the report you mentioned, Alec, it was talking about how Ime made it a monthly thing where they would have players only meetings. Like players only meeting, like that's something that fans only hear about when things are going wrong.
Right.
And like sometimes those can be like, you know, a focal point where like a team turns something around.
Yeah.
But you know, it usually it's talked about in the media as like, oh, what's going on? What's all this?
Like there's turmoil in the locker room.
Right. But like how Ime described it in that report, I think, was like, yeah, you know, like we'd study film and I'd tell the guys what they need to work on, and then I'd leave them alone for 15 to 20 minutes and then ask them to tell me what they think. Like, God forbid you listen to the people you're trying to help. Like, you know, like it seems like such a no-brainer, but I think that more like, you know, Ime was a player. I was looking at his Wikipedia the other day. So, you know, I know he was on like the Spurs. I know he had spent some time on the Lakers, but like he had a hell of a journey to get to the end.
Didn't they update his Wikipedia to like Steve Nash's dad or something like that?
Yes. I think that's what made me go look at it.
But Steve had him on the court, but on the sidelines,
but like, you know, he's the kind of guy. He was like a defensive stopper as a player. Like I think when he was on the Spurs, he defended Kobe a lot. So like he was one of those role players that kind of took on a tough assignment. Like I think that like mentality is sort of spreading to the team. Like, you know, when you're listening to like, it's much easier to hear you have to go guard Kevin Durant. Like, let's say he's talking to Jayson Tatum. You know, if Brad Stevens is trying to tell him how to guard Kevin Durant, I think that only sticks to a certain point. When you're talking to Ime Udoka, who had to man up Kobe in playoff games, those words mean so much more. So like hearing that and like, you know, that would make him listen that much more. He will put that into practice on the court, and you know that's why he played as good a defense as he did.
It's like LeBron not listening to David Blatt, but Ty Lue being the coach for him.
Exactly, player's coach. And like, you know, what I was gonna say too is like Ime. You know, if I'm gonna say he's better than Brad, then like I think Ime is probably the best Boston Celtics coach I've ever seen. You know, like I didn't get a chance to see Red, so.
Doc Rivers.
That's kind of why I bring it up, because Doc's catching all his heat for blowing his 3-1 leads, and he's got another chance for that. But
a 3-0 lead this time.
Man, enjoying
it. Anyone but blow a
2004 Yankees.
Man,
he might be the first. That would be some crazy history to make.
Right, but before we go on to that series, let's stick with the Celtics though, and what they got going on. They, as we said, have won the series and are going on with their things. And you guys handled the KD and Kyrie. Are you gonna handle Giannis though? Y'all got Giannis next series. How you think about that matchup?
That's different. He's a force. Like that's entirely different. You know, like
game recognized game for sure.
Yeah, and like you know, like Jayson Tatum's the perfect, you know, like physically he's a great matchup for KD. That's why he's able to block his shots. That's why he's able to play such good defense on him.
Right.
Nobody on the planet right now matches up with Giannis. Like it's almost a similar position to when KD came in the league with OKC, and there was no one in the league that could guard him. Like Al Horford has done well in the past on him, but he's also pretty old.
Yeah.
Rob Williams
2022 is nuts.
He had a great series.
For Giannis too. Yeah.
Exactly. It's 2 years of decline for Horford, 2 years of extension for Giannis. So it's going to be a different story. But you know, like Rob Williams will help, but at the same time, like he's 6'9", has great wingspan and can jump high as hell. But like if Giannis is trying to back Rob Williams down, that's going to work 10 times out of 10. So
most likely.
I'm not. You know, the Chris Middleton injury definitely hurts the Bucks. You know, like he's their second leading scorer. You know, he just proved his worth last year. So, you know, that definitely hurts, and he always plays well against the Celtics. So
while you say all of that, as we just pointed out, having the factor of the great coaching of Ime, could that help you guys close the gap between y'all in the Bucks, or even win that series, or do you think the Giants is going to find a way regardless of what happens?
I definitely think so. You know, like it's Ime's first year, so there's not a whole lot of precedent to go off of. But when you look at the Brooklyn series, like even someone, I don't know if Peyton Pritchard is going to have the same sort of impact as he had in the Brooklyn series, just because you're going to have guys like, you know, even Grayson Allen and Pat Connaughton, like they're better defenders than Patty Mills. So like, you know, I don't know if Pritchard's necessarily going to have his like double-digit points off the bench games, but what Ime is great at, or what he proved to be great at in the Brooklyn series, you know, we'll see with Milwaukee, is he pushed the right buttons. Like when he kept Pritchard in, I want to say one of the games he kept Pritchard in.
Yeah, he like rode the hot
late.
Yeah.
And like that's having Pritchard out there. I think it was instead of either Marcus Smart or Al Horford. So like that's having him in over a top tier defender, but he just liked the matchups. So if he can find those right ones with the Bucks, I'm confident, but I'm not expecting a sweep.
Got you.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's Giannis.
No
chance of sweep.
Hey, 16-0. Come on.
Let's not get ahead of myself. Yeah, definitely excited for that series. Alex, do you have anything else you want to say about the Boston, or can we go on to other things?
Well, I'll stick with Boston because I saw a spicy take from I'm forgetting who it was. I think it was a former NBA player, but they were saying that KD or Tatum is maybe past KD now. How do you feel about that?
I don't agree, respectfully.
Okay.
Yeah.
He'll be the next up, but I don't think he's gotten past him yet.
Like if I want to give a hot take, like Tatum's probably top 5 after this performance. Like if we want to give like super ultra hot takes, but better than KD.
I want spicy takes, Matt.
I mean, I feel like top 5 is one.
What's going on?
Coming into the year, I would have said like top 15 definitely, and like I think making that jump of like 10 players, like if we're going how most improved is voted now, you could have voted Jayson Tatum.
Here's a better question. Here's a better question. Maybe a hot take. Is he first? Is Jayson Tatum first team All NBA? Could he jump ahead of anybody in that first team? I don't know if you saw our prediction.
Maybe this year. Yeah, I did see the prediction.
I don't think he can this year, just because the forward spots were. That's
the point of the hot take. I'm asking you to jump ahead of anybody there.
No, and that's the tricky part with All NBA, since people since positions don't really matter anymore, you might have like 2 centers in there, but one of them's a forward.
Yeah, I don't know why they did that this year, but yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, this year, probably not, just because of that. Embiid and Jokic are locks. So, then there's only one forward spot.
And Giannis gets that.
Exactly. So,
just stirring the pot. Pot. That's all.
I want to. My gut says yes, though. Like,
okay, he's on his way though. Definitely on his way, and definitely impressed by him. As I've been telling Alec all year, if he was not wearing that ugly green jersey, I'd have his jersey anywhere else already. So I'm a fan of his definitely, but can't support fully because of who he's playing for. So we'll see what's to come with him. So I'm excited for all of that, and with the Boston and Milwaukee. I wanted to go on through the rest of the playoffs as well, and some things that are going on there. Let me do this real quick. And let's look at the rest of the playoffs and what's going on. So just want to give our first round reactions as things continue to play out. We kind of see how a lot of series seem to be wrapped up, though. There are 3-2 situations and all of that. Can we say that Phoenix is done there? Are they going to wrap up and win one of the next 2?
Who are we going to first?
Yeah, we're starting on top with Phoenix and the Pelicans. How do you think that plays out?
I mean, I wouldn't say it's wrapped up quite yet. I mean, especially with Book out, like, New Orleans showed that they can win. And I mean, winning 2 straight isn't anything crazy. I think last night definitely showed that Phoenix has better talent. Like the Mikal Bridges game, he's the kind of guy, like, he's capable of that type of shooting night. It's just whether or not he gets the opportunities. So with Book out, he should get the opportunities.
I think it's one of the situations where it's one of the things where when a guy like him has a game, like it's called a game rather than just a norm. I don't know if he's going to be able to double back on that this next one or in one of these next 2. And I think the Pelicans can combat that. I will note also, I am interested to see what happened with Brandon Ingram. He hurt his thumb or something like that, his hand, something on his arm, whatever that was at the end of the last game. So if he's hobbled, then Phoenix wraps it up. But if he shakes it off and is healthy, I think the Pelicans can win one of the next 2 and possibly both of those games. If they could stay all healthy, and a prayer if they just want to throw in Zion for just one game.
I want to see it. I
would love to see it. Most likely not, of course, but I think either way, the Pelicans have shown they can hang with this Phoenix team without Booker. He actually may be back. If Booker's back, then that scraps everything, right?
I don't know if it scraps everything, but
I do.
I really think. I had like the Suns in 6 with Booker being out. I do think the Pelicans can win this next game. I don't think they win the series though.
Okay.
I still think the Suns wrap it up in 7, but I think the Pelicans going back home is going to be huge for them. Like they've played the Suns really well. in Phoenix as well too, but especially at home with the crowd behind them. So yeah, I think it goes 7, but I think Phoenix does win it. I am rooting on Chris Paul's downfall though, so if they were to lose, I'd be very happy.
Gotcha. We'll see how that plays out. So that's the first series in the West going down the list.
One thing I wanted to say while we're talking about that, when you mentioned if Zion could come back, like I love to think about just what would the Zion saga that we just had with Ben Simmons be? Like, what would his fit be? The all orange and yellow Ben Simmons that got memed into oblivion.
Well, Zion's been on the bench.
He hasn't stood out as much.
But he hasn't stood out because his representation hasn't been putting all these fake rumors in that he's going to play.
Oh, yeah.
It would have been great if we had like Zion rumored to play for Game 3, and then Game 3 he's wearing like a suit jacket and a vest, and then just like scarfing something down. Like, that would have been.
There really hasn't been any rumors beyond that. The two camps like aren't in agreement with whether he's ready or not.
That and all the dunks in every pregame.
Exactly. Like, that's it. But there hasn't been like, oh, he might play kind of thing. It's just him dunking. Like that's all. Yeah.
So, yeah, we'll see how he handled that. Again, as I said, even without him, it's going to be a fun rest of this series. And looking forward to that. Now, as we go down the list. Is this series going to be funny at all this last game, or is Utah done for already?
Get him out. Get him out. Get him out of here, man.
Cut him.
I think it's to their benefit if they get bounced, because I think if they win this series, like they can trick themselves into thinking they maybe can ride it a little bit longer and make a little bit of tweaks on the like periphery instead of trading one of Mitchell or Gobert. But I really think they need to blow it up. So hopefully it's over. It should be though.
I'm just throwing out there off the top of the head. Top 3 teams you'd like to see Donovan Mitchell play for next season. Can you think of any 3?
I mean, I think it's the Knicks, right? Like I'm not really like a Mitchell fan.
New York Knicks.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, all Knicks there. Okay.
I don't think any of us are really like Donovan Mitchell fan. Like, I don't want to speak for you guys, but we're not like huge fans of his. Like we appreciate his game, kind of. But
yeah, he's good.
Yeah. So I'm not like looking for a specific team for him to thrive on, but it seems like the Knicks are the best, like that make the most sense, I guess, right now.
I can see Mitchell or Gobert going to Charlotte. I think pairing either one of them. I think if they keep their kind of nucleus as they have it and get the big down low and have Gobert down there, it helps the defensive side. They can still have the offensive guys, LaMelo and Rozier and whoever do their thing. If they flip it and get Don Mitchell instead, you got a backcourt mate for LaMelo to run and do their thing, and they can still have the high flying, whatever. Not much defense, but still that could be one. But off the top of the head, Charlotte is a team that I think could make a push to get somebody to pair with LaMelo there. So that's it. But of course, the Knicks are already any realistic looks at him going to the Heat. People have joking about him going to the Heat all the time. You see that as a possibility too, or no?
I don't think so. Especially with like Oladipo just had a game this last game. Like he finally got to show out post injury too. Okay. I think they have enough as far as like that scoring punch over there.
They've always teased that hero Duncan Robinson package for somebody as a chance to elevate. Could that be it, or you think they keep those guys with Harrell just winging and Ward?
I don't know if that's an elevate. To be honest, like in a vacuum, like he's a better player than each of them individually. But I think both of them together, like Robinson's a 3-point specialist, and Hero's 6th man of the year and can create his own shot as well. So like, I don't think you're gaining a whole lot by like swapping those two out for just him, because of the defensive side especially. But I was gonna say too, like I think the lack of scoring, I think, has been exaggerated for Miami, because I do think they have guys who can score in crunch time. And we've seen Jimmy Butler, like, can elevate his play in the playoffs. Like, he's done that every playoffs now. Yeah. So I think they don't really necessarily need another guy who demands, like, 25 shots or whatever on that team. Yeah.
Agreed. So that's it for that series. We all, I believe, got Dallas winning. Oh, go ahead.
My one would be, I mean, this is strictly thinking from things have been just as bad as they could possibly be for Russ this year. So, like, if we make things go from bad to worse, like, what if we just swap Donovan Mitchell and Russell Westbrook?
Russ would like protest. He would protest.
Russ is not going to Utah. Isn't that where he
fighting with those fans in Utah?
No way in hell he's going to Utah. Even though he's a no trade clause, he'd fake a physical or something. He's not going to Utah. That's not happening.
And the one other thing,
I get the sentiment though.
The one other thing I want to say for Utah too is don't forget who's in their front office now. Like no matter what, Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert might still be on the Jazz next year. There are going to be rumors weekly. Like I am so happy to be
almost trade.
Of that. Oh my God. The amount of there's like 5 different all-stars that Jaylen Brown was almost traded for. Like, oh wow, now he's as good as all those guys. Who would have thought?
A lot of what else circling around that team, but I think one thing that's for sure, as we said, is that Dallas is going to be beating them in one of these next 2 games and wrapping up this series. So that's that. And then as we move on, Warriors in Denver, they're playing right now. It's a commercial break. I don't know what the score is, but I believe
Warriors up 41-38.
Yeah, they most likely close it out. Do we believe they finish it now, or you think Jokic fights to see another day? Excuse me.
I think Jokic fights, but in a losing effort. I think they close it out.
Got it.
I was a little bit shocked they didn't, and I think they would have closed it out in Denver had Draymond not fouled out. Because that was huge late game situation. But
gotcha.
I think they finish it out tonight. I think they're the clearly better team in this series. We've seen from the start, so
yeah. Steph's first game starting and things. He's back and fully rolling now. So they're just gearing up right now. It's going to be fun to watch them throughout the playoffs. So fun things there. Then the last one. Oh my God, this team makes.
This series has been annoying to watch, man.
Oh my God,
these damn Timberwolves, man. I came in here the other day.
Damn Grizzlies too.
Yeah, both teams,
both squads. They're just showing their youth heavily right now. And I said before the series that I picked Minnesota to win it, and they could have already been done with this series had they not made a bunch of mistakes. They've had multiple big-time leads that they could have just closed out, but because of inexperience, both from players and coaching staff making mistakes themselves, they have blown multiple games, which have led to Memphis now being up in this series. We see more mistakes from them, and Memphis finishes them off. We think Minnesota figures it out and wins these next 2 games.
I think we all lose for having to watch this series. I think.
Hold on. What was that tweet? It was like, if you have any young kids that play basketball, make sure they avoid this series at all costs.
Absolutely, because the amount of low IQ basketball that's going on here is crazy, man. Like
from the stars too, like that last play from the game 5, whatever that was. Anthony Edwards biting on that inbounds play and letting Jog attack the basket, like. You see it from all the stars to the role players, whoever. Everybody's making weird mistakes right now. So, it's just, crazy to see. But, go ahead, Alec.
I think Memphis is the better team, but they have not pressed me in any way throughout this series. Ja finally had, like, the 30-point game that I was calling for him to have, and they eked it out by the skin of their teeth in Game 5. But he needs to be more consistent as that first like scoring option for that team to go anywhere, really, because Bane has been really good and he's been the most consistent for them, but Jaren Jackson Jr. can't really count on him because he gets into foul trouble like almost every game.
Right.
And so they need like his scoring punch, or they're not going to be able to get past I guess the Warriors in the next round.
But I weren't either way.
Going back to Minnesota, I think what was that game? Game 2 was the one they blew them out. Game 3 is the one where they like came back from 24 down or whatever. I could see them getting down 20 again because like they continued to do so. Like they haven't taken control of the series. So I could see it going 7 and Memphis wins it. But I think Memphis wins it.
Yeah. I'm gonna stick with my pick, and I'll say Minnesota in 7, but. There's just no confidence either way. Like it's gonna be nasty however it plays out. So we'll see. But I'm gonna stick with Minnesota. And real quick, I think D'Angelo Russell's only averaging like 13 points a game this series. I think he might get hot for one of these last 2. I'm hoping he does one of these last 2 and carries them to a victory. So we'll see. Go ahead, Matt.
That Minnesota ice in his veins. You know?
I don't think there's any ice left.
No, it's all gone.
Nature took it all up there. But what I was gonna say about this series is like just from the first 5 games that we've seen, like I have no idea. Like, there's just each team is completely different versions of themselves in the same night. Like, they're just there is no way to tell like what Karl Anthony Towns is going to step on the floor.
Right.
Like, even with Ja, like you're saying, Alec, like you've been wanting him to take that, bigger scoring, shoulder more of their scoring, and like he hasn't. And I mean, with the Grizzlies, like Bane has been hot this whole series. A guy like Dylan Brooks can get you 20 in a game, but Ja has to be that guy. And like, I think what's important in the playoffs too, which like neither of these teams really possess yet because of their youth, as you guys said, but like you need that guy that can just, even if it's like with 6 minutes left in the second quarter, you need that guy who can sense, okay, the momentum's shifting. As to Jalen's tweet, the energy's shifting. I got to make a change here. I got to get a bucket. I got to make a stop. Like, and I think a lot of that comes with experience, which, the Celtics were lucky enough to get with.
Which I thought, because the Grizzlies have been in the playoffs before too. Like, I thought they were going to have some of the bumps and bruises, whatever, from their playoff woes in the past. But I've seen like no growth from them.
It seems like it's their first time here. Like, they're just like a deer in headlights. So it's crazy to see. But to your point, real quick, Matt, you want a guy that can sense the shifts in momentum, and a player that can slow things down, control the pace. But if you don't have that, which this team doesn't, you at least want a coach that can sense it and can say, okay, let's call a timeout here. And like there was one game, a game or two ago, where Chuck called it out about how dumb the Minnesota was. They let like a 21-0 run happen in the third quarter, and the coach is just like, play it out and figure it out. It's like, you gotta have a coach that can sense. Even if an assistant coach, hey, jump up, yo, coach, I know what you're trying to do, but like it's not working. Like somebody got to step up and say some things aren't working when they're falling apart. To keep things afloat. So we'll see which team can figure that out and get things rolling again. But Matt, whether it be a coach or a player, somebody got to have some sense on this for winning these two games.
So basketball IQ.
There's none in this series right now. It's wild, very wild to see. So that's it for them, and we'll see how that plays out. And that's it for the West. We'll be back to talk about second round things as they all continue on. But for now, that's it. Going on to the East, as we already discussed, Milwaukee and Boston is solidified there. Miami is solidified, being the Hawks in 5 games. And the last series we have is the Sixers and Raptors. Do you think Doc, of all people, and Doc and James Harden and Joel Embiid, they choke another 3-0 lead, or you think they can hold on and win one of these last two?
Yeah, I don't really have any confidence in Harden on the road in an elimination game. That just spells trouble.
I'm sorry. I think real quick. I think me and you had the same worries before the series started, Alec.
Yeah.
We did our preview. I think we discussed how we had no faith in Doc and all these guys. So we're trying to get it again. They may hold on, but even if they do hold on, I don't think they go far in these playoffs because of what we've already been seeing. So go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it just smells like a 5 for 17 from James Harden in this game. And Doc Rivers unable to manage them to a win. I know what has been a factor is Joel Embiid dealing with like the ligament tear in his thumb.
Yeah.
So that is a factor. Obviously, like you're out on the floor, you can't use that as an excuse, but it's just a reality. Like I'm sure it's affecting his game a little bit.
Correct.
But like you would have thought that they should be able to close this team out at home too. Like they were up 3-0. They lost in Toronto. We expected Toronto to fight, but I would have thought going back home they would have finished the job there. Came out kind of flat, and Harden was off shooting once again, and then kind of got dominated by the Raptors, who are a well-coached team by Nick Nurse. They throw everything but the kitchen sink at Joel Embiid because they don't really have the personnel to guard him, but as a collective, they do a pretty good job. But yeah, I don't think you can count the Raptors out. They have championship pedigree on the squad. I think Van Vliet is maybe questionable for the game. So that's key. But Siakam's done well, and Scotty Barnes coming back from injury has done well for him. I almost want to say this is the first time we get a 3-0 comeback. Just how the Raptors have been playing.
Hey, if you're gonna go for it, I'll double down with you. You want to do it? I'll say it.
I think I want to. I don't have faith in Harden and Rivers.
Yeah, I'm for it. I'm going for the Raptors to go for the comeback. So we'll see how it plays out. I didn't really have a whole lot of faith in the Sixers team because of their nucleus heading into it. James Harden has not impressed me at all in this series so far, and I think they've given the Raptors enough hope that they can turn that hope into reality and get steal this series from them. So Joel Embiid was real cocky, I think, after their first win, giving them a little claps like, you guys got one. Like, congrats to you guys for keeping the series alive. But now it's that they're a real threat here. I think they can actually steal this series from them and get the last laugh. So I'm going with the Raptors in this series to finish it off.
All right. We're in agreement.
I like it. I mean, I guess, like, I'm going to go with the Sixers, but
not confident.
No. I mean, Embiid's thumb injury is big, of course, but then even just like Joel's playoff history, like, I understand it because the Sixers kind of ride him continuously throughout the year, but he gets tired. Like that, he's a 7-footer playing like damn near 40 minutes a game, like it makes sense. He's been doing this all year.
Yeah.
But like at the same time, I think these last 2 games, like he kind of just has to put up through that. Like they're throwing everything but the kitchen sink, like Alex said, but the kitchen sink doesn't include anyone over 6'8". So like,
yeah,
Joel should be able to handle that.
Yeah.
But like, I think it was last game. It was like Joel played all right. Like he shot, I want to say around like 50% from the field, and then just the supporting cast completely let him down.
Yeah.
So like, if Joel can get his like 50% shooting, get his like 20 and 10 or whatever, and then like Tobias Harris can, shoot like
I'll say Tobias has been good in this series.
Other than that last game, But I mean, like you guys both said, like Tobias and Maxey come up in the discussion of supporting cast before James Harden. Like it's James Harden.
Yeah, like Harden's been good as a playmaker, but he hasn't found the shooting touch in like a month now. Like it's been a while. Yeah.
So, and like that's the part, like he's never been a playoff performer either. Like one of his games against Golden State where he had like 13 turnovers is still one of those games I can like remember where I was when I watched it, because I was just like dying at the fact that this is James Harden.
I remember that game where he got like blocked by Ginobili, like when he's going for the game winner.
So like
a lot of those moments.
He's got iconic playoff failures, and like, I mean, he doesn't have an iconic failure here yet, but if this team gets bounced in the first round, right after trading Ben Simmons for finally the trade that Daryl Morey was looking for, like that's a bad way to go out. Like, I don't know. And it might happen to what you guys are saying. Like, I'm the one that's picking the favorite, but I still don't feel good about it.
Yeah. Doc Rivers was already copping pleas in the press conference today.
Okay. No, that's important to mention too, because like that, he was so defensive. That was like pure, like he thought he was on trial. Like, you can't, you're still up in the series. You just need to win one game.
Just one. All you gotta do is win one game.
And then it's on in Miami.
Nasty work.
You're already cooked.
That meme has been going around where it's like Doc Rivers where he has to win one game and it's like the atomic bomb explosions behind his face. Like, right? It's really him, man. Like, you just gotta win one. Like, I get circumstances happen to where you lost those series, but just one game, like just one more.
That's all you need. I mean,
and you have 4 chances, so
it's making me respect 2008 a lot more.
I guess so. So we'll really see how that all plays out. I'm looking at my TV. My apologies. It's tied at the half between the Warriors and Nuggets, 48-48. The Nuggets are still putting up a good fight, trying to stay in this one. But as we said already, I think either way, Golden State's gonna find a way to win these last 3 games, however it plays out. So I think the Warriors will handle this and move on. So definitely a fun first round of the playoffs. We're here on Wednesday. We'll be back next Wednesday as we do. We talk about the next series as well as that gets underway and other things. But that's all I got for right now. You have anything else you guys want to talk about real quick?
Well, I just thought about it when we talked about the James Harden move. Was the trade, I guess, like a neutral, like no one won the trade as far as Ben Simmons and James Harden, because they both might get bounced first round too. So
that is crazy.
And both the future outlooks look a little shaky.
Yeah, I guess it's technically slightly favoring the Sixers because James has at least played.
Yeah,
that's exactly how
he's played. But even that, he hasn't given enough to say it's in the definitive W for the Sixers, because it also doesn't seem like he's going to be. It seems like James is starting to hit the decline. He's not the same MVP type level guy that he was. So for the future as well, we might, if whenever Ben gets on the court, he might show that he's back on the incline and in better shape than we're seeing from what James is giving to the Sixers for these next couple of years. So
he might not even re-sign with the Sixers.
That too.
That's
so yeah,
it didn't send in that mail.
It's a wild thing. It's crazy that even with Ben not playing a game yet, it's not really a clear winner in that trade.
Actually a discussion.
So, nasty work across the board there, but definitely a fun thing. Anything else you guys got, Matt? Any last Celtics words you wanted to say?
I mean, it's just with that discussion, like, it's crazy. Ben Simmons is basically still a myth in Brooklyn, and I mean, even with that, like, because James Harden has played so poorly, like, Seth Curry, I don't know, like, how much better would James Harden have been than Seth Curry and Andre Drummond in that Celtics series? Like, they still played all right.
Right, that's a good point.
But no, I guess my last point to make about the Celtics is the one thing I didn't really address with them is I think Alec mentioned when Marcus Smart just kind of like pulled everyone aside, or I think even publicly, but he also did it in private, just like, Tatum and Brown, like, you guys got to start passing. Like, and since that moment they did. Like, there was a noticed difference specifically in Tatum's game when he was just distributing so much more. And like Tatum, you know, I mean, he had his 30-point games and all that, but like to win 4 straight games like that, like, he has to adjust on the fly. So like when they were playing better defense, when his shot wasn't falling, he was getting 10 assists. And like that's truly like the leap. Like, he made the defensive leap and all that, but like that's what can unlock the next level for this team. So I'm hoping that stays.
I'm envious. I'm envious of you getting to root for a team that like pays attention and cares about the defensive end.
Yeah, exactly.
And a star that is committed to the defensive end. Like, now
a nice young nucleus that you built together and got to witness rise into stardom. It's must be nice.
Ainge wanted to tear him down, but they're still here.
So definitely fun things to say there. And the last thing actually just came to mind. Can we get you for one of these last 2 Wing Time episodes, or can we discuss it right now? We can get you on.
So that's always Sunday nights. We'll work it out. But I think I'm like 1 or 2 behind, but I'll catch up in time for the next one. Maybe we'll do the finale or something.
Right. Yeah. I'll save my questions for you for then. Till then. All right.
All right. Cool.
Excited for that. And that's it for right now. So again, for everybody that's been watching, appreciate all the love. Matt, appreciate you as always. That was our Celtics first round reaction with Matt, as well as our first round reaction to all things going on in the playoffs.
You're winning the title, Matt?
Yes, I have to say yes. We just swept the title favorites the whole year, so I got to say yes.
All right, so salute to them and all that's going on. I appreciate you guys for tuning in today. Appreciate you guys that just watched our interview with Ronnie Barnes and all that's going on winning time there as well. A lot of good stuff going on with the show here, and we thank you guys for sticking around. Subscribe to the show if you guys are watching on YouTube or across our podcasting services. Follow us on IG and TikTok at Section.300. Follow us on Twitter at Section to the Sports. A lot of discussions going on across the board there. Love to chat with you guys about all the stuff going on in the sports world. And that's all we got for right now, man. Appreciate all the love. Continue to level up throughout the season. Season 3 has been going great. Appreciate you guys. And we out of here, man. Thank y'all. Peace, man.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir.